been 2,368 days since Hitman Blood Money was released. Not that we're counting, of course. That's a long time between drinks. It's nearly 6.5 years. The pursuited Agent 47 and his barcoded dome have spent the bulk of this generation on the sideline. Hitman Absolution has been a long time coming, a fact fans are acutely aware of. The pressure to deliver, then, is high. Blood Money may be a dinosaur, but it remains a cult favourite, adored by its faithful fans. 6.5 years on, IO Interactive must ship a successor to it, worthy of the wait. The good news is, they have.
Woo! Man, no one can piss on this day.
Come on, darling. You better put a giddy up in your step. Adios.
Absolution looks good. It looks its best at its busiest, when you're threading your way through the game's thick crowds. The levels are nicely dressed, and the cutscenes are well produced. It's a solid effort all round. It sounds great too. The dynamic score which picks up as the action mounts is well done, and there are quite a few moments where the audio design really pops. Approaching and opening a closed door to a loud bustling bar, for instance, sees the sound launch from a subtle hum of chatter and muffled music to a roar of raised voices and bass.
You won't try any tricks on. Just let him go, and we'll forget this.
Above everything, Absolution is a game that wants you to experiment with it. Like Blood Money before it, your targets here can be executed in a host of ever so slightly sickeningly different ways. Shot, stabbed, harpooned, set on fire, electrocuted, exploded, drowned, fed to pigs, drowned and exploded pigs. It certainly hasn't forgotten where it came from. A couple of the game's kills are more tightly choreographed for dramatic effect, but most of the game's kills, 24 of them at least, are traditional Hitman fare. This is a slow-paced, measured experience. This is not Medal of Duty modern warfighter ops. Impatient action junkies need not apply. The way Absolution itself plays is very much a refined version of what IO attempted with its previous effort, but gone are most of the quirks Hitman diehards were happy to overlook in Blood Money. 47 feels far more connected to the environment rather than skating about on it, and successfully sneaking up on a target from behind with your signature fibre wire is no longer quite as fickle an exercise. It's all a lot more organic and a lot less stiff. Furthermore, Absolution adds a host of additional abilities for 47. There's Instinct Mode, which is basically 47's intuition represented visually. This replaces the previous godlike minimap. New Hitman players can use it as a crutch, noting enemy patrols or objects of interest. Veterans can simply refer to it sparingly or turn it off entirely. There's a cover system that allows you to properly exchange fire with enemies when things go pear-shaped. When you're playing as you should, stealthily and patiently, the cover system is even more useful, allowing you to spring from behind it as enemies pass by to quietly choke them out or snap their necks. Point shooting, which is a slow-mo power-up that functions not unlike a similar power-up in Splinter Cell Conviction, works fine, but Hitman veterans will rarely use it. Better is Precision Shot, which allows you to gently squeeze the trigger to steady your aim before actually firing. It feels very natural. It's a hugely better solution than the normal click here to hold your breath malarkey. Overall, Absolution is a success, although not universally so. The change to the disguise system, for instance, is a good idea, not fully formed. It makes sense that NPCs wearing the same type of clothing are able to recognize you as an imposter. It means you can't just don a disguise and stroll through the game's levels. It'd be too easy. The system should scale, however. It's logical a small group of janitors would recognize a stranger in their midst, less so that every Chicago policeman knows the faces of every one of his thousands of fellow officers so well that he can always spot an intruder.
I know you.
Both the cover system and the blend system, where 47 casually dips his head and obscures his face as he passes threats, are IO's answers to these. If you're finding things too easy, I'd advise you to progress to the game's incredibly unforgiving expert and purist modes, where enemies react far faster. The nature of Absolution's story mode, which features 47 on the run and for several early levels, without his signature silver ballers, is also quite different from Blood Money. It may leave some fans a little wanting considering you can no longer select your preferred equipment before missions and such, but Contracts mode is there to fill that gap. Contracts mode is Absolution's true sandbox, where you can create your own hits within the game's levels with its clever play-to-create system, choosing whatever weapons or disguises you want. Better still, you can challenge your friends to complete your contracts faster and more efficiently than you.
Alright, you got yourself a deal. Crack a bottle and get ready to light my fire.
Like Dishonored before it, it's actually a true pleasure to play a game that lets you tackle it from multiple angles. After several years of increasingly totalitarian games, where you're very much following a predetermined path, it's nice to have a game that doesn't just encourage improvisation, it requires it. For more on Hitman Absolution, stick with IGN.